and it's the biggest mistake I made from a credit perspective. So by a little bit of way of background, rewind to 2004, 2005. I'm sure some of you youngsters can't even remember those days, the days pre-Facebook, maybe not pre-Facebook, but certainly pre-Instagram. And that is when, I guess that is when I was on my first cycle of business. I was building my leisure empire, for want of a better word. I was building the bars, clubs, had retail stores, etc. And I had impeccable personal credit. I had the famous Experian 999 credit score, and I was borrowing heavily in my business. And then in 2008, when the recession hit and my businesses were pulled into admin, I was then made personally bankrupt as well. So obviously at that point, my impeccable 999 hit the floor pretty quickly. And for me, this is where I made the big mistake, which is obviously, one of the things I really want to hammer home to you guys, that from kind of 2000, when I was bankrupt from 2008 to 2009, at the point I came out of the bankruptcy in 2009, I would have been more than able to start rebuilding my credit life. But I got lazy. I tried to open a couple of bank accounts in the UK, got knocked back on them. I was spending some time in the States back then anyway, so I actually had a bank account in America. I had a debit card over there, and I had my ex-wife as well at the time, who obviously still had a bank account and credit in the UK. And I got lazy and I switched off, and because it wasn't immediately easy for me to open myself a new bank account back in 2009, I just stopped trying again. And from 2009 until 2000 and let's say probably 2015, maybe even 2016, I never again attempted to open a UK bank account or to do anything with my UK credit. Just use my ex-wife's debit cards, use my American stuff. And it's the biggest mistake I made from a credit perspective, because for those 6, 7, 8 years, however long it was, I was effectively in the personal credit wilderness. And whilst my credit wasn't getting any worse, it certainly wasn't getting any better. And what you're going to learn about tonight is that building that personal credit, whilst it's not complicated, it's time consuming, and there are there's some tricks, but there's no shortcut. Well, yes, there's shortcuts insofar as we can make it take, say, 2 years, not 5 years, but there's no way to fix this overnight. So until you start the journey, until you start following the process and making the effort, you will never fix it. And almost by accident, really, because I'd obviously convinced myself that my credit was so terrible that I couldn't get a bank account, that I couldn't, that I couldn't get even a £50 credit card. So I stopped trying. And I guess in 2015, I still had that 2009 mentality that I was going to be, persona non grata at the credit institutions. But I downloaded my credit report, and it was actually, whilst it was poor because there was very little information on it. Not because there was bad information, but because I hadn't really been on the credit register or behaved or hadn't used any UK credit for such a long period of time. I'd almost been forgotten about and had no good ticks against me. The only bad ones I had were kind of annoyingly like £100 CCJ for a parking, for a personal parking fine thing that I didn't even know about. And the fact I wasn't on the voters roll, but I mean, literally that was it. So I then applied for a UK bank account again, got my bank account, and decided that I was going to start on my credit journey. So it's taken me about 3 years, I think about 3 years, maybe 4 at a push, to go from there to where I am now, which was from a very poor credit rating with no credit cards, with nothing at all, to where I am today, where my credit has gone above 900, and I've got a few credit cards in my name. I've had a loan, and I guess I'm starting to get that normal credit profile again.